Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Let's rock and roll it. Okay, before we get to the burning issue, let's just start with the main stuff, which is the semis and the final. We'll get into that into a nutshell. Pakistan and England in the final. Would you have chosen this sort of matchup before the tournament started, or was it like half of what you thought?
Yeah, I think it's probably a reflection of the tournament. I think the best bowling side, and I think the most complete side that I did tell you before the tournament that England are the most complete side in T20 cricket at the moment. So, I mean, they got all the bases covered. They got the death bowling covered. They've got, they've got variety in the attack, and they've got a batting order that bats right down to in number 11. I mean, every single guy can hold a bat in that team, and I think that's a real advantage, especially going into knockouts where, it does get a bit difficult or pressurizing. But I mean, the way they dismantled India was something special and something to behold. I think it's quite frankly probably the greatest performance we've seen in a World Cup. And in a chase, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, what Hales and Butler was able to achieve, and it hasn't come overnight. I mean, England have been
Hmm.
building on this. They've been working on this for a long time. It's taken 7 years to get to this. Uh,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see when Butler spoke, after the game, that they said, they had to come hard at India because, I mean, if you let India in, you're in big trouble. So they never let India in. They never gave them a sniff. It was two chanceless innings. I mean, they absolutely dismantled that Indian bowling attack to all parts of Adelaide. And yeah, they just had no answers. So yeah, that is the best batting lineup in this World Cup without question. And then on the flip side, you've got Pakistan. They were down and out in this World Cup, but however,
Hmm.
they got back miraculously, won three games
Hmm.
on the trot, and won a semi-final, which you probably would have said that they would win given their track record against New Zealand
Hmm.
in knockout
Hmm.
stages. I mean, 4 out of 4. So it really wasn't much of a contest, if you ask me. To be fair, I mean, both semi-finals were really quite one-sided, if you ask me.
Hmm. Hmm. Agreed.
So, I mean, comfortably into the finals. And
Yeah.
yeah, they do have some issues with their batting at times,
Hmm.
especially that,
Hmm.
that middle order. But I mean, I think they probably have the most fierce bowling attack in this
Yeah.
in this tournament. So the new ball, bowlers really make inroads. They really make inroads with their new ball pair. So yeah,
Yeah, but
they're real threats to.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. The experts have said that the Pakistani attack is the best in the tournament. So it's like, let's put it this way: it'll be the best bowling attack versus the best batting lineup. So if you're looking at that on paper, can't get better than that. Also, I mean, not to take anything away from Pakistan, but if you've noticed their matches, right? Especially against South Africa, right? I mean, I've been noticing that when they're winning, the side have just fielded crap. Like, I mean, against South Africa fielded crap, and against New Zealand fielded crap. Not that I'm taking anything away from Pakistan. I always did tell you that when they are wounded, they play out of their minds. So the thing is that now, if we get into the England versus Pakistan final, I think England are the favourites. Many experts have said that, and I agree with that 100% because England's got a complete team. Batting is awesome, bowling is good, fielding is also good. So, but when you have nothing to lose, they become so much more dangerous because they are the favourites. England. You're not going to really dispute that. So, and also the pitch in Melbourne will be a lot more spicier than the one that England batted on, Adelaide, if I'm correct. So I think it won't be that easy for England to really whack their bowlers. I'll be very surprised if they even like make that kind of score without loss. Maybe they'll probably make that score being all out, or maybe I think it'll be interesting. I think if Pakistan are going to beat England, they're going to have to restrict them to at most 150 in that finals. If they're going to bat first, they have to make like 160 minimum. I think on that pitch they'll be okay to defend. I think they've got a better bowling attack than India. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, England are overwhelming favourites, as you say, for this final. I mean, they've got the batting, as I said, right down to number 11. And, they got the bowling attack. And they just got more experience than Pakistan. But, I mean, what this World Cup has taught you, I mean, overwhelming favourites have crashed and burned in this World Cups. I mean, there's so many games where uh, teams were overwhelming favourites and they haven't really got over the line. So, I mean, to me, this watching this World Cup, it's been a shock at times. I think it's really been a World Cup for the underdogs. It certainly has been a World Cup for the underdogs. I think a lot of those sides that were coming up, I think the minnows have really closed the gap. The minnows have really closed the gap on the big sides, and that's down to good fielding, having a well-drilled fielding unit, and also the bowling, executing plans when it matters. So. Yeah, I think the mono teams have really closed the gap. And I mean, you can only imagine what the next World Cup is going to be like. It's really going to be exciting. And I think the nature of T20 cricket as well, it brings those smaller teams because, I mean, the nature of T20 cricket is helter-skelter. So you're always going to have an opportunity to really, kill a dragon or slay a dragon in a way.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that T20 brings the sides closer. Otherwise, if it's 50 over the test matches, they pretty much know who's going to win. It's pretty predictable in that sort of way. I don't know if you agree with that.
Absolutely. I think another reason for this is because the smaller teams are playing a lot more T20 cricket these days.
Oh, yeah.
And that really helps. And are playing a lot more T20 cricket. So, I mean, you really can't expect the likes of Netherlands to compete with test playing nations if their players don't play enough test matches or their players don't play enough 50 over. But I think when it comes to 20 over cricket, T20 cricket, I think a lot of these players have enough in the tank. I think they've got a quite a huge diet of T20 cricket that they do play, not just for their respective, but so that helps. I mean, playing around the world, conditions really help. So. Yeah, that is an advantage.
Yeah. Funny thing is, though, I think of T20 like a very sweet dessert. It does make too much money for the ICC, so you can't really restrict it because, although it is funny to see the test game doing probably better than the 50 over game because I find the test game a bit more exciting nowadays than the 50 over game. I guess it's because of the pitches and the way the players just approach the game now. It's kind of nice. So. I don't know if you feel the same way, actually.
I do. I think the 50. I think the test game has actually brought the bowlers into it quite a bit now with these kind of spicy decks that you have, and it's you're not getting those 400 plus scores quite regularly now. You're getting a winning score like around 250, 300 is a winning score. Is a winning score in test matches these days. So I think that makes for exciting cricket. I do feel you got to have good pitches as well, so your batsman can obviously gain some confidence. But I mean, nobody wants to see a no result anymore. People want to see results in any form of cricket. So yeah, if you look at it, test matches are quite exciting, and I mean, test matches are really important to cricket as well. I mean, it's the main format, and it's got to continue going. It's got to be a strong format going forward. And I think. A lot of countries in the world, like the likes of Australia, England, they do have a culture of test cricket in their country, and you do have crowds coming out for test cricket. Because of the Ashes. I mean, the Ashes is such an old rivalry, and it's so fierce. So you're going to have that rivalry. I mean, that rivalry between Australia and England, which is massive. But I think other countries in the world, test matches is a real concern, I feel, in terms of getting the crowds, involved in it. The likes of South Africa, the likes of Pakistan, West Indies, Sri Lanka. I think those countries have got to put a lot of work into getting, test matches up and running. And there was a time when test matches were quite exciting and you had a lot of spectators at test matches. I think it has to do with the kind of players that these teams have, currently in their setup, and that also plays a part as well.
Yeah, actually, before we get to certain burning issues, your quick prediction for England and Pakistan, I think you're still predicting England, right?
Yeah, I think England are the favourites for this game. No doubt about it. I think Pakistan have probably got a bowl out of their skins here to actually win this match. And I wouldn't really put it past them because I mean they got quite a lethal bowling attack. But the main concern for me is the
Mm-hmm.
weather. The weather is not looking good for
Oh yeah,
tomorrow. I think there's about 95 to 100% rainfall in Melbourne, and I
yeah,
think Monday as
mm,
well. There's about 95% rain, which is a real shame, Sid, because I mean
yeah,
the last thing you want is a final and a tournament shared between two teams, which I think would be put a really sour taste
mm,
on this entire tournament. Yeah, if this trophy had
yeah.
to be shared, but it's
I'm
not looking
hoping.
good at the moment.
Yeah, I'll pray for 10 over these, man. And I'm gonna go with Pakistan. I think the great Ian Chappell does agree with me, even though he did say he's pros and cons about them. But I think the only reason why I'm going with them is because I feel this whole World Cup is following a 1992 template in some shape or form. So if I'm going to go with history, I'm going to go with Pakistan to win it. I wouldn't say easily, but they will win it somehow. Although it wouldn't surprise me if they also won it comfortably. Well, not as comfortable as New Zealand, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
wouldn't be surprised if I.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're kind of hoping for a game tomorrow, but just a reminder. Yeah, I mean,
Not
they are
tomorrow.
playing in.
No, but even on Monday, I mean, either. I know it's in Melbourne. That's
Yeah,
why I'm saying England won't have it. Even England won't have it easy with the bat because that pitch will be spicy. And if Pakistan bowl to their potential, I think England will not have it easy. Mm. That will be one spicy
no,
meaty ball
definitely.
pitch.
It's going to be a battle of the best batting lineup against the best bowling lineup. You could have asked for a better
Mm.
final. You couldn't have asked for a better
Yeah.
final. There's something. I mean, every team has been inconsistent in this tournament. Let's face it.
Mm.
Every team has
Yeah.
been consistent. There hasn't been a side that's played complete
Yeah.
cricket. So, I mean, I think
Mm.
probably on paper, you
Hmm.
got two of the best in the tournament. I mean, it's essentially a battle of bat versus ball here, and you know who can come out on top here.
Mm. Okay, now we get to the burning issues. Okay, I'm going to talk about my highs and my lows so far in this tournament. The highs are the lower nations doing really well, seeing teams like Namibia, Netherlands, etc., beating teams like Sri Lanka, and then obviously there's Pakistan losing to Zimbabwe, and then now we get to the burning issues here, because this, even though it should be a high, it's more of a shock because this sent South Africa out of the tournament, and then also India once again have become the new chokers, losing to England in the semi-finals. So, although New Zealand could also be called chokers because they keep losing in semi-finals as well. So, although I think they have made finals recently of note, so I don't think they're chokers now, or maybe they become like the final chokers. Your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if I had to talk about my highs, obviously, I'd say the real high was probably Zimbabwe's performance against Pakistan. That was fantastic. I mean, the way they actually held their nerve was sensational. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think Ireland performed quite well in this tournament as well. Hey, I think
Hmm.
they can take a lot of credit for that. I think the Mano side
Hmm.
definitely.
Hmm.
Uh, but obviously the real low and the crushing low is got to be the Proteas.
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, I mean, this was a choke. I mean, they choked getting to the ground. They choked at the toss. I mean, they choked while bowling. They choked while batting. I mean, you can't look at it any other way. And what is the most
Yeah.
frustrating thing here? You spoke about it and on air last week, and you know, you said, you know, this is
Hmm.
a comfortable win. And I think in theory it is a
Hmm.
comfortable win. I mean, they didn't really
Definitely.
pitch up, really pitch up. And
Yeah.
you know, what concerns me is a guy like Boucher, a national team coach. You know, come up with a stupid sort of excuse saying that the
Yeah.
players
Low
were
energy or
lacking energy.
something.
Were
Yeah.
You are the national team coach. I mean, that's your job. That is your job to get
Yeah.
them fired up, get them going for the day. I mean, they did look flat. I mean, I watched that game. They did look flat. They look flat with the ball. They look flat in the field. I mean, and boy, I mean, I don't even want to talk about the batting, but you know, I spoke to you a lot of times, and I said to you, there's a couple of overrated players in that batting lineup, and no more than De Kock. I mean, De Kock, I think, he's been overrated for a long time. You know, but I don't think that's the only problem in this setup at the moment. I think politics. I think politics is really hampering the side, and I think Bavuma, unfortunately, as Tom Moody said, he's the elephant in the room. He's the elephant in the room at the moment. I think.
I have to agree with that.
Absolutely. If you look at that top four, I think some of those guys did make scores in previous games. The likes of Miller, the likes of Markram, the likes of Riley. You know, you did get a score. Even De Kock scored, you know, some good runs in the first two games. But Bavuma, woefully out of form. Woefully out of form. You know, I can't understand the thinking from the selectors. And there's a guy that I follow on SA Cricket Mag called Ryan Frieda. And I think you need to go and have a look at his work, because this guy is really good. And he didn't give South Africa a chance, you know, coming out of this group. And the main reason was Bavuma. You know, Bavuma was the main thing that was really holding this team back. And, you know, straight out, I mean, Bavuma's the wrong guy. And I think we've seen in this tournament that, you know, there's a lot of players that have been picked, and there's a lot of players that have went on and kept going, even though they were in, you know, woefully out of form. I mean, another one is Rabada. I mean, like, really, bro, this is one of the worst tournaments Rabada had in a long time. Woefully out of form, you know, really can't find his lines, can't find his lengths. I mean, we've got Janssen on the bench, we've got Riza on the bench. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We're trying to win a World Cup. You know, you try to perform. And I think if you don't play your best team, you're not giving yourself a chance of doing well in the world, actually competing. So I think the sad part is, the sad reality is, I mean, you could talk about choking and so. Essentially, they didn't pick their best team. You don't pick your best team. You always, you know, you're always going to be, you know, out for failure. And unfortunately, that's how it actually turned out at the end. You know, they weren't good enough. They didn't deserve to get out of the group. And I mean, you know, Janssen is awesome. Janssen is awesome. I've seen every time that Janssen has played for the Proteas, he's done well. You know, every single time this guy has played for the Proteas, he's done well. And we only seen him for the last year or so. And I mean, Riza, I mean, this is absolutely insane now. I mean, top run scorer for the Proteas in 2022, and you can't get a single game in this World Cup. I mean, even if it means Bavuma pushing himself to make Riza Hendricks, I mean, Riza. I mean,
you know, instead of Klaassen, they could have brought Riza Hendricks, right? Because Bavuma could have done a Dhoni, right? Whereby, like, you know what he does for Chennai? He goes all the way back down the order so that he gives everybody the freedom, and only if he's needed, right? So they could have brought Riza Hendricks for like Klaassen. Then they could have Riza Hendricks and De Kock, and the Bavuma could have been like a pinch hitter down the order. He could have perfected pinch hitting in the nets to get that preparation. He should have done something like that, but unfortunately, as you say, our team is a bit archaic, a bit conservative. They can't think outside the box. So that is a bit disappointing. But
I think that actually comes down. Yeah, sorry. I think that actually comes down to the coaching. I think Boucher as well. I mean, you look at Boucher. I mean, this hasn't been a good reign from Boucher. I think, you know, SA was in a real mess when Boucher came in as coach. But I think the way the team is at the moment, probably the best side. On the other hand, he's looking a little bit better than the limited overs. But I mean, the white ball teams are actually performing woefully at the moment. You talk about the ODIs, you talk about the T20 side. I mean, just not up to standard. And I think it's an indictment on the selectors. You know, it wasn't a good call to get Shane as a coach, because I mean, this guy really doesn't have much experience at international level. I mean, you can talk about you know. Having you know, sort of experience at domestic level, but that doesn't count for anything. It really doesn't count for anything. They needed a top quality coach, international coach, to get this up and running again. And I think he hasn't got the best out of these players. I mean, you're talking about conservative. I mean, boy, geez. I mean, if you look at the side here and you look at the batting, I mean, it's so tentative. It's so shaky at the crease. I mean, even that India game that they did win. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, India didn't take their chances in that game.
Yeah.
It could have been a different result, but the batting, geez, it's been so shaky in this World Cup. So then, you know, geez, I mean, I really give up with this team. Honestly, this team really. You know, we've seen this episode over again.
Yeah.
You know, in last World Cup, 4 out of 5 games. I mean, you could have seen it as not a complete failure because I mean they were in a really tough group as well with Australia. But this World Cup, I mean, what do you do from this side? I mean, because this is 2 out of 5 now. You lost 2 out of 5 games. You won 2 out of 5 games, so you mean lost 2 and 1 no result, which is not good enough. So I mean, you actually perform worse than what you performed in the last World Cup. So I don't know what's the plan going forward for this team, but I mean, looking at where I am at the moment, I think I've just probably resigned to the fact that, you know, this team is not going to win the World Cup anytime soon. I've just resigned to that thing now, where I am, you know, in terms of my life at the moment. I'm resigned to the point that this team is not going to win a World Cup. This team is not going to win a World Cup. I think the only thing this team can actually become now is competitive. And you've got to try and become competitive first before you start thinking about winning World Cups, because competitive meaning you get out of the group, you try playoffs. That's the most important thing at the moment now, Sid. I don't think winning a World Cup is that important. I think you've got to try and make playoffs. And then you've got to talk about thinking about winning a World Cup. Because if you can't make playoffs, there's no way in hell you're going to win a World Cup. So I think the most important thing now is to become competitive again, become a tough side to beat, and start making playoffs. As you said, it's a bare minimum that this team can make playoffs. But I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the squad, and you look at the experience in this team as well in terms of the batting, I don't think this team matches up well with the other sides in this tournament. The likes of the Englands, the likes of the New Zealands, the likes of India as well, the likes of Pakistan. Hasn't been enough experience. Excuse me, there's not enough experience, and there's not enough specialists on the side in terms of T20 cricket. So I think that's the downfall. And I mean, that tail with Parnell at number 7, I mean, it's an absolute no contest. You're not going to win many games with a tail that long, eh?
Yeah. No, but you see. Sorry, I couldn't hear that last part there.
Yeah, I was just getting a bit frustrated there, but sorry. I mean, you can go on. You can go on.
No, I can understand your frustration, because the reason why I said bare minimum is like if they play to their potential with their bowling attack, then obviously they won't have to chase so much with the bat. That's why I thought, is to play to the potential, making the semis was like a guarantee, because come on, even with the side they have, and I know you said it wasn't their best side, but if that side plays to the potential, they should have beaten Netherlands in their sleep. I mean, that's just a joke. I mean, fine, they played well, but I think you got to be. I'm sure if you asked SA, like, which match would you rather play in order to make the semi-finals in your sleep, would you pick a team like Pakistan or would you pick a team like Netherlands? They would have said Netherlands all day long. So I think this is a really unforgivable end. And I think, but then I think they're also not the only team in a bit of a pickle. I think India's also now in a pickle because they've choked, and I think they didn't even have a plan B if you think about it. I mean, I think once England whacked their butts, I mean, I don't think they even thought creatively. They should have opened with a spinner, man. On that pitch, it did turn a little bit, so I think England even out-bowled them also, so I think it was pretty embarrassing. I think India and England SA have to do an English reset. Remember how England did the one-day reset? I think those two teams have to do quite a big reset, hey?
Yeah, I mean, good luck to the coach that comes in, because I mean he's got a real job in his hands here. And I mean, getting back to the Bavuma issue, I mean, when Bavuma took over the captaincy, I think we all wanted him to do well. I mean, by all means, we all wanted him to do well. We all wanted him to perform and excel with this team. But unfortunately, at the moment, there is no way that you can really justify his selection in the side anymore. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out.
Except for Test match.
I think you just take a test player. He's a fantastic test player, and I think he's still got a role in the one.
Hmm.
I mean, really out of depth in T20 cricket. So, it's sad state of affairs now in South African cricket. I think the very few supporters that they did have, prior to this World Cup
Hmm.
has obviously turned away. And you know what the sad part is at the moment, Sid? I mean, there's not a lot of fuss that's going on about this World Cup exit because, I mean, yeah, there was a bit of anger and frustration on Sunday last week, but it seems to have dissolved away. It seems like nobody is really taking this team seriously anymore. And I think, they're trying to obviously, I don't want to make a comparison with Bafana, because I think the side is better than Bafana. No, I'm really not. I think the side is not better than Bafana because the side can beat some of the best in the world on the day. This team
No, but
can beat some of the world in the day.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but you know what I find sad about this is that the conditions were even favoring us as well. The pitch conditions. Fine, there were a few Asian pitches, but even then, those pitches weren't too Asian that you're going to play on them. So no, it's just unforgivable, inexcusable. All the negative words. I mean, this is actually really much. This is the worst exit. It's even better than actually better than 99 exit in the sense that it's even worse than that. At least we lost to Australia, and even then that was like pretty heartbreaking.
You know what this has actually taught me, Sid? You know what this has actually taught me as well, going forward. I think, there's a lot of expectation on this team, but I just feel after this Netherlands performance, this side, they are capable of losing to any team on their day. They are capable of these sort of performance. So I think really be frank here. I think you've got to keep expectations low going forward. It's obviously going to be a massive rebuild here to get this team back to where it should be. And I just feel at the moment with so much of interference in terms of politics, it's not making things more easier. I just hope they look at this and they get, you know what? At the end of the day, it's about national pride at the end of the day. National pride is very, very important to people. And nobody wants to back a side that's continuously losing. So national pride is very important. When I talk about national pride, I always look at the Springboks, and the Springboks are a real sort of prime example. They sort of a catalyst when it comes to national pride. Because when you look at the Springboks, especially in World Cups, you kind of get the sense that they're giving off their best. They're really trying to go out and win a World Cup, And I think that's a testament to them. I think that is why they're kind of the best performing team in South African sports in general. They're the best performing team in South Africa, and I think it's going to continue. I know they obviously lost last week to Ireland, so it wasn't a good sporting weekend at all. But I just feel when it comes to World Cup, the best out of the Springboks. You really see the Springboks coming out and doing well as a nation because they want to make the nation proud, essentially. National pride is very important. I'm really interested to see who the next coach is going to be because I think the side really needs to change their mindset, the way they play cricket. I think it's a bit outdated at the moment. As you say, a little bit conservative. They got to pick the best players for each format. And I think that's what England has done so beautifully. They pick players to match the format. I think when that whole debacle, that 2015 World Cup came with Owen Morgan, he changed the whole setup of cricket, He wanted these changes. He demanded these changes from the English cricket board. And, he gave them. He got players that actually were, what can I say? They were specialists in white ball and T20 cricket. And I think the way England have played ODI cricket thereafter has been quite something to behold because I think they revolutionized the one-day game as well. So I think England have been the best white ball team in the world for the last 6 years. Because, I mean, if you look at their record in tournaments, they've always made the playoffs. They've always kind of made it to the final. So, I mean, this is a side that has a pretty good record. I think of all the nations, they probably had the best record in ICC tournaments since 2015 World Cup.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. We were freezing there. kind of like how our team froze that day. Okay, I think on a final note, I think, yeah, I mean, besides SA resetting, there also has to be, I think, the Indian reset. I know I keep going back to India because even India has disappointed me so bad. I mean, although I must give India a compliment. I mean, they didn't have two of the best players, Bumrah and Jadeja, and yet they still made semis. So that's a big achievement on that side. Nothing big, but that's a little bit of an improvement. So I think, but then, yeah, both of those teams need to have a bit of a reset because I don't think Rohit Sharma will captain in the next World Cup. Hardik Pandya should captain. Definitely, Dinesh Karthik must go. And then I think, then if I look at South Africa right there, definitely Bavuma has to go. That's for sure. Then Keshav or Miller can captain T20. I know you don't like Keshav being captain, but either him or Miller. And then I think Reza Hendricks must definitely play next World Cup if he's in form, of course. And then it's in the West Indies, right? And US and the United States. I look forward to seeing how cricket will be in the United States. Hopefully, the good pitches, not those slow and low, boring pitches, but it could be that. Yeah, what are your thoughts, man, to end this discussion? It's been a bit hectic, eh? South Africa has pained us all.
Yeah, I mean, to conclude, obviously a very disappointing tournament. Really, really disappointing tournament. I think for cricket as a whole, it's probably been a good tournament where the lesser teams have obviously shown their might. They've really come good, and they've earned the respect of a lot of teams. And I think, as you say, I think T20 cricket is probably going to stay here for a very long time because, I mean, that's the future of cricket at the moment. So there's quite a few teams that actually need to go into reset. I mean, obviously SA is one of them, woefully. I think the West Indies are in shambles at the moment as a cricketing side. They're in absolute shambles, and not just in T20 cricket, but in all forms of cricket. I think Sri Lanka as well, they probably need a reset. And obviously you said Team India as well. I mean, although India were missing their big guns in Bumrah, but I don't think Bumrah was really much of a miss, to be honest with you, because I think Bumrah didn't perform that well in the last World Cup as well. And I think Harshdeep is probably the find for India. And I think the Indian bowling attack for much part of this tournament has been pretty good, Sid. So I disagree with you there in terms of the bowling attack. I think they were pretty good. I just think they came up against an England side who were on another level. They were just on another level. I'm sorry to say that, but this England side were just on another level. And they obviously, I think if they played any lineup on that day, they probably would have smashed them all over the park. So I don't think this Indian side, are necessarily a bad team. But I do feel that they have really not performed in crunch games and in knockout games. So that is a bit of an issue for them. I think the knockout games are a major issue for them. Yeah,
they've become the new chokers. I think they've taken over from South Africa now. Sorry to say that, because South Africa hasn't even made a playoff in so long, so they've become the new chokers, along with New Zealand, of course. Although New Zealand have started to make finals, so you can't even call them chokers anymore. You can call them like the final chokers. What do you think?
Actually, to be honest with you, I mean, losing a semi-final or losing a final, it really doesn't make any difference to me because I think it's still painful as well. I mean, to lose a final or to lose a semi-final, there's still a bit of pain that goes with it. So to me, it really doesn't make much difference. It's all about winning at the end of the day, and this is a results business. To end on a bright note, I think the one thing that we probably can look forward to at the moment is the SA20 that's taking place in January. I think that's a tournament that this country needed for a very long time, because I think the problem with T20 cricket in this country is they don't have a league. They don't have a proper league, global league. And I think this T20, SA20 is going to bring the fans back, because I think, and I spoke to you off air as well. I thought I explained to you that cricket is definitely a dying sport in this country at the moment because of the performance of the national team is not up to standard. The national team is not performing. It is definitely going to be a dying sport. There was a time when cricket was really supported pretty well in this country. And I mean, you obviously from my generation, so I mean, you'll remember those days when, we all had our heroes growing up. And that is how we were loving this game. And I think there was a big support for the Proteas at one time. But I think the inconsistencies in the side currently, the fielding hasn't been up to scratch. The batting certainly hasn't been up to scratch. There really isn't an X factor lineup. And when I look at X factors, it doesn't come any better than the young baby AB, Deval Brevis, and I think he's the guy that really needs to be thrown into the setup.
I was surprised he didn't even make he should have made the World Cup squad. I was very disappointed when he was in the World Cup squad. He would have been a real effect on those pitches, man. Those pitches would have suited him to the T, man. Typical South African conditions, in a way. Fine, there were some Asian pitches there, but they weren't so Asian that he couldn't have batted on them. So I think he made a boo-boo there. Just my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think it was a bit premature to put him into the lineup now as in a World Cup, especially. I think you've got to give him a few bilaterals, let him gain his confidence. But definitely, if you're talking about next World Cups, that either 50 overs or T20, this kid has got to be in that lineup. Sid. I mean, he's a real talent, and I think Stubbs as well. Stubbs will get better. Stubbs will definitely get better as a player. So I'm banking on those two youngsters going forward in terms of cricket. But at the moment, currently things are not looking good. So I think the Proteas have got to do a lot at the moment to get the fans back because, I just say cricket is not in a good place at the moment in this country.
Yeah. My favorite match is the Mumbai one coming to Durban. Because imagine the Cape Town team is actually owned by Mumbai Indians. If you look at that team, I'm putting that team as favorites to win this SA tournament. Oof, that team's got too much talent on paper. I wouldn't be surprised if they even make the finals, man. I wouldn't watch that match with the country Durban. I want to watch that match. That's a match to watch out for.
Definitely. That MI Cape Town has got a fantastic side. Obviously, Rabada is not in the best of form at the moment. So that's one question mark there. But their batting is phenomenal, in that lineup. So I mean that's one of the sides that I actually want to watch in this SA20, and hopefully we do go and watch the game. So I'm taking you up on that offer.
That's one match I want to go and watch. Yeah, that's one match I'd want to watch. Yeah. Okay, I think that's pretty much a wrap. Unless you want to end off anything.
Pretty disappointed at the moment, but I've obviously overcome it over the last couple of the week. I mean, it's been a difficult week. Been busy as well at work. So, I think it's obviously reset now. Reset for the side. And, a good couple of, and as I said, those teams that I mentioned, they're in the same situation as the Proteas at the moment. They've got to be on the reset. So, it's tough times at the moment in South African cricket. And the one shining light I can see is the SA20, and I hope that is a success. And the most important thing we want to see is fans coming back to cricket. That's the most important thing. We want to see fans coming back to cricket and supporting cricket. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I shall hopefully see you on the other side with Pakistan winning the T20 World Cup.
I think it's going to be the other way around, but I'll see you on the other side.
Okay.